Hey guys, Terry Red here, and in this video I am continuing with my Future Pinball and BAM Essentials All-in-One video series. And in this one we are talking about my DMDExt guide, or DMD Extensions guide for Future Pinball. Now it's a pretty minimal one, it's not too big, but basically this is something that's included with my Future Pinball BAM All-in-One Essentials package. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, well, basically you're going to be following this video or the guide that this video uses, and you will make sure that you'll install this package. It's one zip file that will basically have a complete install of Future Pinball, the latest BAM OpenVR update, and DMD extensions for what we need for Future Pinball included, as well as all my guides and extra files that help everyone to get completely up to date and have everything they could ever need for Future Pinball so they can play the latest tables. So I recommend you do this first, and then come back and watch this video. And so yeah, so basically we're going to be just going over how to use what DMDExt is, how to use it without a front end, or how to use it with a front end. What it does and some of its basic features. I've done a video like this before, but now with this updated guide that's in PDF format, now I figured it'd be good to make this as part of the series as well. So DMDExt, what is it? Well, basically, it's a program made by Freezy that allows you to mirror a DMD from either Visual Pinball or Pinball Effects or the Pinball Arcade and Future Pinball as well, and display that on either a real DMD, if you have one in a cabinet, or a separate DMD, virtual DMD window that can be displayed on any screen. So it can it can take the Future Pinball DMD for tables that have one and make it look like this. And then you can reposition this anywhere you want on the screen or on another screen. You can give it nice glowy dots and everything else. You can change the colors, change the styles, all sorts of effects that can be done with a virtual one. And for a real one, obviously it just works with a real DMD. And we've had solutions in the past, like Future Pinball Intercept and Future DMD, and they worked fine, but they weren't like an all-in-one solution for all hardware or virtual, all-in-one package. And now Freezy's got even newer updates that support even more hardware and support even better effects. So that's why DMD extensions support for Future Pinball was a very big deal. So you can see an example here, like this is the Tutankhamun table from Future Pinball, and that's DMDExt displaying it, making it look a lot nicer than the original plain Jane Future Pinball DMD would look. So that's what we're talking about here. Okay, so I'm just going to go through this guide and then maybe show you how to easily set it up. Nothing too in depth. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of go through the guide here. It's not very big. It's not very big. There's not a whole lot here, guys. So basically, I already talked about what this is saying, what DMDExt, what it is, what it does, what it can do for Future Pinball tables. So what's really important to understand is that this is only going to mirror a Future Pinball table's DMD. So if you have a table that has like an EM reel or alphanumeric gas segment displays and no DMD, then it won't mirror that display. Kind of like that's how it works on Visual Pinball. It mirrors that stuff to a DMD, even though the table never had a DMD. So it doesn't work that way with Future Pinball unless someone adds a DMD to the table. And some tables do have that, even though the original never had one. And it's also going to mirror a 128 by 32 DMD only. It's not going to do like the 256 by 64, I think it is, and the 128 by 16. It only does 128 by 32. And so yeah, this is basically just describing the files, what we need, how we're going to use it, how do we make it work, and that's what I'm going to describe in this video as well. Okay, and yeah, and then you got a link that goes directly to Freezy's page here, that gives you more info. This is his main page, for DMD extensions. And I also will get into, how we use it with Pinup Popper baller installer, or Pinup Popper front end, for example, some of the examples that are used in there as well. All right, so basically all this is saying is it's giving you an example of a command line used for Pinup Popper. Now, I don't know if I'm going to, no, that's not going to fit. Okay, so the idea is this is just a standard command line that you could use in, Pinup Popper, So in Pinup Popper's launch script, this would just straight up launch DMDExt from this location in the Future Pinball folder, okay? And it's almost identical, the same command for a real DMD as well. And then on your close script, you would just make sure that you have something to close it off, all right? And then this is just describing that we are going to be using this with a DMD device INI file, which we will install. And then this is describing the styles that you can add, apply to the virtual DMD display. And you can do it on a per table basis or just in a global setting. So that's what this window is all about. So, so yeah, this is all the info I already described to you already. And then you have a fact that's basically going through the same thing. So it's a pretty minimal guide, pretty straightforward, pretty minimal, So it's just describing the same information I'm going to be telling you guys. All right, so to use DMDExt, after you've had the latest Future Pinball BAM All-in-One's Essentials package installed and you have Future Pinball up and running and all that's good. So how do we get DMD extensions running? Well, it depends. If you had, say, something like a newer version of Pinup Popper Baller Installer, the 1.5 version, I think, that's just coming out now, it will automatically set an INI up for you possibly anyway. But if not, what we need to do is we need to go into the DMDExt folder, because this is DMDExt right here. This is the actual program, all right? But if you run it, it doesn't do anything because it's not that kind of program. It's a command line program. So that means that, it's the equivalent of, running it from a command prompt here. Okay, it's that kind of program. So that means it has to be run from a command line with parameters to work. And that's what this is talking about in the example here. This is a command line, DMDExt, and then all the parameters following it. So that's the kind of thing you need to add. It's not a graphic user interface type of program that executes like that. All right. So I've also added a batch file in here to help you get it up and running. You can use this to just manually run DMDExt alone and, without a front end. But if you try running it and you don't have the DMD device INI file that we need, which is this guy right here, you'll get this popping up. It's saying the file cannot be found in the main Future Pinball folder where DMDExt is run, and it's telling you all the same stuff I literally just told you, that you can't run it on its own, blah, blah, blah. So what do? So we have to go into our DMDExt folder that's in the main Future Pinball folder, and we copy the DMD device INI from here, just like it tells you, and you put it in the main Future Pinball folder. So what this file is, this is where all the settings are. This is where you'll set where the size, the position, different kinds of styles like this, for example, are all stored in this file. Now, normally this would have been installed, say, in the Visual Pinball V Pin main folder, but with Future Pinball, we don't need, all the features that are normally in this file, and we're using this file, not the DLL file like Visual Pinball uses. This is a standalone executable, right? So all our settings and our programs are going to be kept in the Future Pinball folder. That way, we don't have to worry about Visual Pinball updates messing it up. We don't have to worry about any other settings messing up anything that Future Pinball does not use. And this keeps everything contained in the Future Pinball folder. So now you'll notice if I click on that file, it's just a text file. You can edit it with Notepad. A whole bunch of settings are in here. A whole bunch of things are in here, right? So most of this doesn't apply to what we use in Future Pinball, all right? It's kind of a little overwhelming, I know. So basically, some of these are the options you can do in a command line, but a lot of them are set in this file. So if you want to, for example, flip it vertically or flip it horizontally, you can do that. You have a whole bunch of options. They all describe everything. The ones we have to worry about is making sure that, well, a virtual DMD is enabled, which is this guy. So that by default is true, so that's good. We don't need a bunch of this other stuff. Stay on top. Yeah, we want that. So let's set that to true. All right, and now the position and the size, we'll take care of that separately. Okay. Some of these other settings we're not worried about because we'll be that'll be taken care of. And this is extra stuff again from the style settings that we'll take care of later on. So ignore all this other stuff because that's all again styles. Yeah, it's kind of out of order. It's kind of confusing. Now this stuff here we don't care about because unless you have this on your cap. So if you have a Pin DMD1 or a Pin DMD2 or Pin DMD3, which are real DMDs, then you configure which one is appropriate for your device. Same with ZDMD, Pin2 DMD, or Pixelcade, whichever you enable whatever you have in this section here. Okay. What else do we got here? Most of this other stuff we don't use. We don't use any of that stuff. And now this one here, for Pinup Player, keep that disabled because we don't use that feature. That's a feature for PuP-Packs on Visual Pinball where it uses images from the DMD to control a PuP-Pack, but we don't use that in Future Pinball, so keep that disabled. Okay, it has no effect on Visual Pinball because this is in the Future Pinball folder, so that's why we have it in there, so we don't have to worry about that. All right, and I think that's all you need to worry about. So yeah, just enable the stay on top, and then the rest I think we're going to take care of, and enable if you have a real DMD in there. So just save this and hit escape. Okay, so now we can actually run DMDExt. So now if you run this batch file, DMDExt Future Pinball batch file, now it's not complaining because it's like, oh, okay, now we have a DMD. Now, if for whatever reason it doesn't work the first time, nothing happens, try running it a second time. Sometimes Windows can be weird the first time you run a file. So this is DMDExt right here, this window that popped up that I can grab and move and relocate. So this is the program that we use. Now, depending on how it's been previously set up, this is I'm running this in HD, so that's why it's so big. So normally, what you would do is you would reposition this on a second monitor, or a third monitor, depending on a cabinet, depending on what your setup is like, right? But I'm just going to do this on the same single screen to make it easier for this video to keep track of things. So basically, the way it works is you just position it wherever you want. So in this case, I'll just do it on maybe the top right. Yeah, I'll just do that. Okay. We'll just stick it up here. And then when you're happy with the size, then you can right click. Because I use this batch file, that's what allows this to be possible, so that you can right click on it, and then you can just save position globally. Okay? So now when I close this, so if I want to close this, I can just go like that. So if I run it again, boom, it's going to pop up there. Okay? And now if you want, you can also go into the styles menu here by customize style, and that's this guy right here. So you can change all sorts of stuff in here. It's extremely cool. Very, very, very cool, feature on here. You can change the colors. You can do all sorts of stuff. It's extremely cool. And, you might have to increase the tint amount depending on, what you have. Like, for example, by default, it's at 0. And that confuses people, and it confuses me. You change your tint color, but then it looks like it's going to work. But you have to actually increase the tint amount. So in this case now, I have it set to 1, right? And then our profile here is at default. Now there's extra features here like, glass frames and all sorts of other stuff. You can apply all this if you want. You can make the dot size, big or small. You can make it square if you want, or super round. The sharpness, the glow effect, all this stuff can be adjusted. So yeah, so basically when you're done that, you just hit save and apply, I guess. Ideally this should work for the default. We'll find that out soon. So once you've got your DMD into position and you're happy with it, now we can try running a Future Pinball table to test it. So I'm only doing this on desktop, just so that you guys understand. I'm not doing this, with a cabinet setup. It's just easier in the video, but it's the same idea, the same method. So now another thing I've done is you can have two choices. You can either run this separately to have it up and running, or you can use one of these down here to run it if you want. But I don't have a desktop with BAT setting, so I'm not going to run it with that. But if you want to, make a batch file of your own, by copying one of these so that you can run DMDExt with a desktop type view, you can, but I'm just going to do it the manual way for now. That way we know it works. All right, so we've got that running. So now I'm going to run Future Pinball. So because I'm running it from desktop, I'm just going to do it here. Again, these are my batch files I've added that allow you to have it automatically change the settings based on what usage case you want. In this case, I'm using it with desktop. Now, I like to just double check the video settings. So, yep, all that's good. I'll just throw some anti-aliasing on there. Why not? All right. All right, so let's, but what I do want to do is I want to change it to windowed. So I'm going to keep it on the, actually, I'll make it a little bit smaller. That's what I'll do. I'll just run this a wee bit smaller. And then I'll take off full screen, and then I'll hit OK. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run Sonic Pinball Mania. And then we'll just give that a go. So you can see here the Future Pinball window. It's not perfect. It doesn't have a borderless windowed option with Future Pinball, so this is the best you can get. So I'm just going to let that load up now. I clicked on the window by mistake, so I should have waited till it was done loading. That's why you don't see anything, but don't worry. If you just leave it alone, it'll eventually load up and be ready to go. So we'll just wait patiently. So what should happen is once the table starts, there you go. All right, let me click back into that. And let me just bring this down. There you go. So there's our answer. So yeah, we know it works now. So you can see like I can run this in a window and it's still staying on top, right? So yeah, it worked. It worked perfect. That's exactly what we needed. There you go. Look at that. Isn't that cool? So it's just mirroring everything on this Future Pinball DMD onto here perfectly. Works great. Yeah, it's nothing more complicated than that. And then you can make adjustments while the game's running if you want. And again, now, because we're not in a cabinet view and because we're running in windowed, that's what allows the DMD to appear on top. If this was run in full screen, the Future Pinball, here, hold on, let me make sure it's low enough. If this was run in full screen, and then you tried putting this DMD on top of the Future, well, you can't do that. It doesn't work that way. When it's run in full screen, nothing will appear on top. That's why I'm showing you in windowed here. So it's important that you understand that, because in a cabinet setup, when you run this, if Future Pinball is running in full screen, and your DMD happened to appear on the same screen as Future Pinball, well, you can't see it. And the same thing goes for the Styles window. It won't be able to appear over top of the Future Pinball window, and by default, the Styles window always appears on your primary playfield screen. So the only way you can get it to come up while playing a game is to run Future Pinball in a windowed mode temporarily, make your changes, then you can put it back into full screen. Okay, so it's important that you guys understand that. So again, we can customize our styles. And let's try, I don't know, do we have presets? Yeah, we got some presets. We got, I don't know, let's try applying something here. Or will they know? Oh, we have to load it first. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, so that's your Data East look there. What else do we got? We got blue square. Let's try that. Oh, see, now that's cool. So basically, it shows that you can have a background image with the DMD while having the normal stuff on top. And what else we got? Ballet, let's see what that does. Okay, I think that's just more the dot style. Metal, oh boy, what do we got here? Oh, it's not very metal-like, is it? I'm not sure what that's supposed to represent. Legacy, let's try that. And that's just plain Jane, again. Yeah, sometimes when you resize it, it does make it equal out a little nicer. Or then you can go back to default. And because this was our default that we saved, that's why we have this visual here. Okay? And again, we can change our color to something different. you know, make it nice and pink or something. And then apply, boom. Now, if you don't see anything happen right away, this won't update until the DMD itself updates. So that's normal. So don't freak out if you don't see anything right away. You just see an empty black window. All right? So I'm just going to close that. I didn't save it, but that's okay. You get the point, though. So again, if I want, now let's say, you know, you wanted to have it cover the Future Pinball DMD, you could go over here and, you know, try to size it and, you know, try to make it look nice if you want. You know, now that's only if you're running in windowed mode, but most people are not going to use this for desktop mode. You know, like that, it's just, but you can if you want, as I showed you, as long as you're running it in windowed, that's fine. But most people are going to use this for cabinet setups. All right. So now when you're done, you exit, and then typically it should automatically close the DMD window for you. If it doesn't, then if you're running a front end, well, your front end program should have a task kill on the exit script to make sure that it's closed no matter what. So yeah, I mean, so that's really all there is to it for getting that set up for your original for Future Pinball. There's really not much more to it than that. It's pretty straightforward. So yeah, and again, you can change one of these to work. Now in this case, I'm just going to run this one, and then look at that. It automatically ran DMDExt for you because I'm running this without a back box, and that works just fine. So let's try a different one. Let's see here. I don't want one that's going to take too long to load. Sure, I'll do the Knight Rider one. That's pretty quick. Oh, shoot, I forgot I changed my settings. Ah, silly me. So that's not going to work. This is a good example right here. So this isn't going to work because it's covering it up. Right? So that won't work. That's no good. All right, so yeah, I forgot that when I run that batch file, it doesn't do full screen by default. I forgot about that. All right, so let's give this a try again. Okay, I know why. So this is a good. Actually, this is a good example. So because I ran this, each time I run these, it's going to change your settings, right? I've mentioned this in the other tutorials. So it's important that if you're going to run these, make sure they're using the exact settings in Future Pinball that you want. Now, in this case, you know, like I don't have full. I have full screen enabled, you know, and so it's always going to run in full screen. So you can change that to 0, and then it'll run in windowed, right? So if I do that, so now Future Pinball will run in windowed. See, DMDExt is already running, and then I can just run Knight Rider, and then it should now work. And there you go. And look at that, she works. No problem.
Welcome aboard the Knight 2000.
All right. There you go. Super easy, guys. All right, so that's all we needed for getting it up and running, for running it without a front end. So now I'm just going to talk a little bit about how it works with a front end. Okay, so now I'm just going to talk a little bit about how this works, for example, with a front end like Pinup Popper. Okay, so the way it works is this is not like Visual Pinball where when you launch a table, the table just automatically makes the DMD pop up because of vPinMain. We don't use vPinMain with Future Pinball. There's no ROMs. So what you have to do is you have to launch DMDExt before you launch Future Pinball from your front end. Or at the same time. Either one will work. So what I have is I have a Popper and Baller Installer Tips Guide that is part of the Future Pinball BAM Essentials All-in-One package. So that's located in Setup and Guides, and then that's going to be located here, and then you can just load that up, and it's going to be this guide here. So it's going to talk about Baller Installer, but also Pinup Popper, and you know, it's going to give you the essential information about, you know, DMDExt and, you know, and how to make Popper use things from its launch script, and then you can manage stuff from the games manager, and then it gives you some examples. Now, I'm not going to go heavy into that in this video. That's going to be a separate video, but it basically has examples of DMDExt here, where if you want to have it run only when you want on a per table basis, you can do that. If you want to have DMDExt run every time Future Pinball is run, and then you have to choose when not to run it, you can use that as well. So that it's going to be up to you which method you want. The older method was to have DMDExt run all the time, and then you had to tell it when not to run. I think the newer baller installer has the method where it's only going to run DMDExt when you tell it to in Games Manager. It's up to you. You can change it up if you want. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of show you how those examples work in Popper. So for me, I had a baller installer set up on here, so it's going to be located in my vPinball folder pinup system, and then you're going to launch the Pinup Popper setup, which is Pinup menu setup. Okay, so what we need to do is we go to Popper setup, and then we go to emulators, and then this is where we configure our emulators in here. So you want to go to the launch script. Okay, so this is where you choose how Future Pinball gets launched and what happens when you exit Future Pinball. So you have a whole bunch of options in here. Now, this is basically batch script. Okay, so remember when I mentioned the batch script before that I used with Future Pinball? I'll just show you real quick. These guys here, it's the same idea. You know, it's just batch script. It's the same thing. It's just commands that are normally done from a command prompt. Okay. So this is what I currently have. This may be a little different for you. So what you do is you go through and you check out exactly what's in here. Now, currently, this may change in the future. Currently, this is set up to run DMDExt only when we choose. So in the second custom launch parameter. So that's what this example is right here, the first one. It's the same thing as that. So it's just basically what this means is it's checking, if this is entered in Games Manager, if this is entered in Games Manager for the table, it would then change the directory to the Future Pinball folder. It would then run the DMDExt command line. Remember the example we had in here. Actually, the example we also had in here. Similar to this, right? So we're just doing the same thing in Popper, making sure that it works. And then it's going to run DMDExt on this line. And then it's just telling it to wait 1 or 2 seconds. In this case, it's waiting 1 second. So that gives DMDExt a chance to appear. And then the rest of this is launching Future Pinball. Okay? So again, you may not have this on yours. You may have this example here where you would normally enter no DMDExt to tell it to not run. All right? So you're just going to have to check. You know, you could change it up if you want to have this run instead of this. You could do that if you want. It's totally up to you which method you want to use. So now that we've confirmed this is actually in here, okay, so what that means is if you go to Games Manager, oh, I don't know if this is going to fit. Oh, okay, hold on. My DPI scaling was changed up a little. Hold on. This is because I changed that. Hold on. Oh, actually, can I just do this? Oh, I can. Okay. Well, that works too. All right. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to make this look a little nicer. That's not how Nailbuster designed it, so that's all on me. All right. Let's just try that again. All right. That's better. Okay. So this is what you're normally presented with. The newer version of Pinup Popper 1.5 has a lot more features now. So basically, you would choose your table. Like, you know, in this case, this is my Future Pinball table, and then you see you have all the options here that can be set just for this table. So I have this command here, which is for PinEvent. That's basically saying, okay, disable the back box because we're using a PuP-Pack. That's what that's basically saying. For custom parameter 2, now remember what I said? If custom parameter 2 has Future Pinball DMDExt, then it's going to carry out all this stuff. So if you go in here, we actually have that in there already. So boom. All right. Now, if you're wondering where this came from, well, if you go into the lookups it's already added under custom too. Now you can add your own in here if you want. Like if you want to, for example, add no DMDExt in there, you can do that, but understand, because we don't have that in our script. Oh, actually, did I save that? There we go. Let's see. Okay, so see, now you get the choice of either or, but you have to have your launch script set up to support this option. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So if you try adding that in there, it won't do anything because my launch script doesn't have any function for that. So I just wanted to point that out in case people get confused. So in this case, I'm going to add that on there. So now we know this is going to say when this table is launched, run DMDExt. That's what's going on there, okay? All right. So, and then you can exit. And then now that you're set up for that, so now it should actually run. Now, I don't know if I can make it work from here. Oh, maybe I can. All right, well, I'm going to give this a try. It's going to be probably messy, guys. I'm just warning you right now. It may or may not work right, and it may not look right because I'm not really set up properly on this computer for it, but we'll try it anyway. All right. Let's see what we got here. All right. So we're going to launch this.
Please wait. I am now loading up the game. Have fun.
Okay, so you can see right off the bat, it launched DMDExt in the top right corner. And because I set Future Pinball to not be full screen, that's why it's kind of mixed in with everything. When it's normally full screen, you don't see all this gobbledygook, okay? And this is my test environment, so this will look different than how you guys have it. All right, and there you go. You can see it launched it with the front end, no problem. And I changed the styles in the background since I last did the video there. But yeah, so there you go. It's working fine, exactly as we want. There you go. And if I exit the table, and there you go. It closed down automatically. Now it may have closed on its own, or if it didn't, our script and Pinup Popper told it to close. Okay, and then that's all there is to it. So I know that's a little messy there, but I mean it did work. So yeah. So there you go. So that's really all there is to it. Like you can customize it with either of these options. No problem, guys. Mix and match. Use only one or the other. It's up to you. That's the whole beauty about using a Pinup Popper. You can make the launch script work in any way you want. So it's great. So that's it. That's really all I needed to say about that. So the only other thing I would say is just remember that with any standard Future Pinball table, with a DMD, this can work with that. If you have a PinEvent Lite table, that means that there's no PuP-Pack for the DMD. It's a light table, so you would have to run DMDExt with a PinEvent Lite table if you want to have some kind of DMD display on your cabinet's second or third screen. So just keep that in mind, and that's about the only other thing I really have to say. But that's about it, really. This is not a super in-depth one. Pretty straightforward. The only thing I will say is I don't have a real DMD, so I can't really help you out there, guys, in terms of that. I know some people, and we do have a FAQ at the end of this guide, by the way, so you have some questions that you can get answered, and there is a support topic as well that I should have in here somewhere. Let's see here. Oh, that's the old video. Okay, so never mind that. But this guide will be updated. It'll have a link to support topics and all that, so I will have that in this guide. But anyways, what I was trying to say was that I don't have a real DMD to test this, but what some people have told me is that you can't have the colors change per table with a real DMD in the same methods that I showed you in this video. That only works for a virtual DMD. You have to do some extra hoops, like using PinMame and adding PAL files or palette files or other stuff like that. And that's way beyond the scope of what I can show you in this video. So honestly, that's up to you guys if you want to pursue that, but you're gonna have to get support by others who have done that and they can help you out, because I don't know how to do it, so I can't help you. So that's the only thing I wanted to clarify, because the older video, a lot of people kept asking how to do that, and I had no answer. So with real DMD, yeah, it's not really something that's easy to do, whereas with the virtual DMD, it should work on a per table basis. So yeah, there you go. So that's about all I really got to say about that. Yeah, so I think we're good here. So thanks for watching. Watch for another one of my Essentials All-in-One videos. And I guess I'll see you in the next video, guys.